We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxingego Unpacked. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Yay. We are all gathered here to talk about money. The Saudi Arabia money, the PIF. What does this mean for boxing? Oscar De La Hoya, famed promoter, former fighter. I do believe the man weighed in a brand new Clapback Thursday. I got it. Let's listen to it, and I will break everything down. Let's get unpacked. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I am back with some more boxing. Man, oh man, have I got a show for you. It's gonna be easy. Oscar De La Hoya did a routine Clapback Thursday. Yeah, dig. And he broke down the Saudis. Right? Here's the video. I will play it in the next 1 minute. Stay tuned to the end of this video. Oscar De La Hoya, in his caption, I do believe the gold medalist said, reports everywhere that Saudi fund is drying up. Clap emojis. Clap, bravo. Now, I got to play the video. I didn't want to have to do this, but y'all made me. Let go. From the top.
It's your favorite time of the week again. Time for the only segment in boxing that gives you the facts and makes you laugh. It's Clapback Thursday. Well, it seems the Saudi money is drying up.
Any idea why it dried up?
It was reported yesterday by every major media outlet.
He put that Simba. Bro, the man put Simba up in there.
Seems the Saudi money is drying up.
Any idea why?
Bro, he put that young Simba. Simba, you mustn't go into the Pride Lands. Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
It dried up?
It was reported yesterday by every major media outlet that the Saudi Arabia's wealth fund is expected to withdraw financial support from Live Golf, the league that launched 4 years ago to compete with the PGA Tour. You remember them paying ungodly amounts of money to lure golf's biggest stars over to the Live?
I remember that.
We're talking tens and hundreds of millions of dollars.
A lot of money.
Back in 2022.
Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund is on the verge of cutting its support for Live Golf.
The league struggled to gain traction, and there was little return on investment.
Also adding to this fuel was various rumors that I've talked to players and vendors who haven't gotten paid by Live Golf.
According to the New York Times, the Saudi Wealth Fund apparently held an emergency meeting on Wednesday and discussed a new 5-year strategy. One of the officials hinted that the fund would slow down spending on some of their biggest projects that were inefficient investments, aka
Also known as
they're regrouping and cutting the investments that are bleeding cash.
Cut it.
And speaking of bleeding cash, I estimate the Saudis have spent
$17 jillion.
at least $1 billion since entering the boxing space 2 years ago. I mean, how? They paid $100 million for Canelo alone.
It's a loss.
And just paid fucking Conor Ben $15 million bucks.
These people have money to burn.
They also paid a lot of fucking money to buy the Ring magazine, which is a dead asset.
Sort of standing there, losing money.
Plus,
Wait, there's more.
all the other events they put on, and they're fully funding the failed science experiment known as Zuffa Boxing.
Salty.
Actually,
Oh, I can't wait. I can't help but wait till the day. Oh, spring on. Spray it on. Hey. What is that? Oh, when you spray it on. Spray it on. Hey, if you're a fan of pop culture, hip hop, music, tell me what that's from. Would you spray it on? Hey. Oh man, I can't wait to talk.
Actually, it could be way more than $1 billion.
What a waste that is.
Shout out to
And
Leslie
where are they
Nielsen.
recouping that investment? In ticket sales and pay-per-views?
Oh, there's no profit in that.
They don't even sell tickets at the events in Saudi. And the pay-per-views are a tiny fraction of income.
No profit, no product.
Again, the Saudis are 100% fully funding Zuffa. So fighters, beware and make sure you read the fine print,
Dave Kim doesn't read the fine print.
because you may need to get out of your Zuffa contracts in a few months.
I told you to read the fine print, Dave Kim.
There might not be any money left.
Where did that money go?
And speaking of Zuffa, man, they're trying to get their scumbag amendments to the Muhammad Ali Act passed through the Senate.
You believe this shit?
But you know what? I'm actually going to Washington, D.C. next week to testify in person against it and explain again why this act does not need to be changed. It's been in place for 26 years and has protected fighters. TKO needs it to change so they...
Bro, the man said he is going to Congress. He's going to Washington, D.C. And he gonna testify that this don't need to be amended or changed.
and has protected fighters. TKO needs it to change so they can fuck fighters.
We renegotiate and pay you less?
Just like they do in the UFC. And I'm going to give it my best shot to preserve boxing history and protect the fighters.
If anyone can do it, it's him.
And one thing is for sure, my clapback after I return from Washington is going to be fucking a forest fire. I'll be exposing all the lies TKO tells our government. So Uncle Fester, please invest in a fucking suit. The Senate doesn't want to see you in your little Oshkosh Bagosh t-shirt. So remember kids, you're never a hater if you only speak the facts. It's your favorite time.
Caught another body. Caught in 4K. Oscar De La Hoya. Great job with the Clapback Thursday. Now, I got to toot my own horn. Oscar got his thing going, Clapback Thursday. But guess what? I got a show that I got several Ego Weight Watchers, right? But I got a show you're watching right now called Unpacked. And I have delved and dived into this topic before anybody was really talking about this. And I said, pump your brakes. There will be changes. I was labeled a hater because y'all doing what y'all did. You're doing wrong. You know you was doing wrong. And now we're going to lock you up. I could not wait for Oscar's portion to end so I can get busy. And the thing I noticed about boxing is media, fans, content creators, low quality content, they always reach for the low hanging fruit. Like if a fighter looks good in a fight, they're the best thing since sliced bread. But if they have a bad fight, immediately they're terrible. They should retire. Like everybody was messing with Errol Spence and he loses to Crawford, who people say is a generational great. But then now people are writing off Errol off of one loss, right? Or when Conor Benn was knocking people out around the Egg Benedict time, right? Oh, Conor Benn's dope. When he almost stopped Chris Eubank and beat him in the rematch, he was dope. He fights Regis Prograis. Now people aren't saying that. You see how things change? And one thing I pride myself on is being very consistent on these matters. And I watched and listened and studied what you guys were saying. You were like, Turkey is saving boxing. If you remember any of the things I'm about to say, type a regular comment, but then also make sure you somehow include I remember so we can see the people who are testifying to the things I'm about to say. You guys said Turkey is saving boxing. I said, what are you talking about? Boxing don't need saving. Boxing had a great, like 2020, you guys were saying this around 2024. Like, oh man, you guys were sold lies, right? Boxing needs saving. 2023, you had Errol Spence fight Terrence Crawford. Months before that, you had Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis did over $1 million on pay-per-view, right? So boxing didn't need saving, but you guys let media shills who were probably getting payola under the table to shill and advocate for something and push a narrative. You guys accepted that and allowed it. And me, being who I am, I didn't take that. I didn't take no pay. I came on here, talk my regular talk, and now we get to see. Now this is what separates the boys from the men. Because while y'all was like, Turkey is saving boxing, oh my gosh, the Saudis have monopolized and taken over. Top Rank, PBC, everybody else is going to have to get out of here and conform because of the Saudis, right? Little did y'all know that this has happened numerous times in boxing where somebody comes into the game and they are all of a sudden big spenders in the game and they're doing all this fancy stuff and LED lights to the point of it's overkill, right? You're overspending, right? To remember, like the Saudis, for example, right? They were coming out with these movie trailer type of commercials. And I told you from day one, when nobody else was saying it, that was a waste of money, because I wouldn't have started this channel if I wasn't a diehard boxing fan. So I can attest to, I'm a huge movie buff. I quote movies in my videos all the time, right? But I realize boxing hardcores and boxing fans, it's almost like a secret society. Them little stupid Crawford Madrimov movie theater, Better Be of Beevil cinematic trailers, that didn't really move the needle. It wasn't giving people ammunition to be like, you know what? I wasn't going to buy Crawford Madrimov, but now I've seen this stupid Guy Ritchie commercial or cinematic trailer. Now I think I'm going to spend for it. Ain't nobody was doing that. One, you're dealing with and combating, you had to go against piracy. So a lot of people are cheap. And now the economy is all effed up. We know why, right? Gas prices are high. Fast food is raising their prices. Go to Chipotle and buy food for you and your girl. I guarantee you're not getting out there with like anything under 35, 40, 50 bucks, right? And so on and so forth. So a lot of people, they weren't even going to buy anyway, given the climate, the economy, and whatnot. So they might leave all these comments like, oh man, this is great. This movie trailer looked dope for a boxing fight, right? These aren't movies, right? Like Sinners, the reason why a movie trailer works, because you got to get the people to get into the theater, and then it'll show at the box office. So people will show up, and then when they like the movie from Michael B. Jordan, Coogler, then people start making TikToks and YouTube videos, doing reviews, word of mouth. So it grows, and it grows exponentially. Before you know, you have a box office hit like Avatar or Sinners or Black Panther or whatever, right? Boxing is one night. If you have a pay-per-view, is one night, and let's say somebody has to work, right? If you work and you get off at 9, by the time you get off, under most main event cases in the US, the outcome is already rendered. So you're not going to thereafter go and spend $100 on a pay-per-view that ended already, right? So you got to get people to commit right now. And I told you, particularly with Ring, Saudis, Riyadh season, a lot of what they were doing, you were pandering to the wrong crowd. Very casuals, like very casual people, right? Remember, they're like, oh, we brought Max Kellerman back. We brought Jim Lampley back. Where is Jim Lampley? I thought you brought him back. He did like one show. I thought all of the casuals were like, oh man, Jim Lampley is back. This is amazing, right? Where Lampley at now? So you're spending foolishly on stuff that really don't move the needle, because when it comes to boxing, hate it or love it, I'm the new breed. Jim Lampley, he had his day, the HBO, either you liked him, you didn't, whatever. Did a lot of, it's no country for old men, right? You got a lot of the old guard in old media. They're not even doing it the same. Like, have you listened to Michael Buffer? This ain't the 80s. Let's get ready to rumble. Like, there's times where he got a frog in his throat or something. Like, he can barely even announce, and he's making mistakes and stuff. You know, as you get older, your cognition changes. He's not as punchy. He's not as witty. He's not as quick. The recovery ain't quite there. But Turkey and the Saudis and Sella and TKO and Ring try to force feed you all these things. Cinematic trailers. Jim Lampley's back. Max Kellerman, the Ultimate Shield, is back, right? Ring magazine. Who the hell buys a magazine anymore? Right? And I do shopping, my fair share of shopping. I have never once since Turkey bought Ring magazine, I have not seen it in stores nowhere. Like, I go to Target, I've been to Walmart, I've been to the grocery store. I ain't never seen Kohl's. I ain't never seen no Ring magazine in any store, right? And I told you from the beginning, Ring was better off throwing a bag at your boy Ego, because I actually know what it takes to grow the sport of boxing. I got brilliant ideas that, given the infrastructure, you know, I can help move the needle. They hired a bunch of putzes. Now them days are going away. Don't be surprised if you see people who are working with the Ring or working with, you know, these companies, got announcer jobs or whatever. Watch them start going away. That's what happens when you have budget cuts. People start getting furloughed. People, they start cutting ties, snipping, cutting away the fat. And that's what Oscar De La Hoya is talking about, which coincidentally is what Ego, your boy Ego, the best in the business, and it's not even close. What I've been telling y'all for years. But you guys were feeling yourself and said I was wrong. Now you got to face the music. This does not look good. And the reality is, it was already trending this way, but given who's in office right now, Donald J. Trump, and his decision to engage with Iran in the conflict now in the Middle East and the chain of events that have happened, guess what? Now it expedited it, right? So you already had the Saudis who are burning bread, literally burning. I read Pablo Escobar in his like final days when he was on the lam and the federales were looking for him. I read that to stay warm, he would burn money, like create fires with money. Essentially, that's the same thing the Saudis were doing, right? Crawford, Turkey took a liking to him. I told you from the beginning, and everybody, all the Bud Buddies got mad at me. Oh, Ego, why could you say that? Oh, you just never liked Crawford. Bro, Crawford, he's a terrific fighter. It's not going to change me from telling the truth. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth, right? Y'all can't handle the truth. Let me know what movie that's from. This whole damn court is out of line, right? Y'all can't handle the truth. And I've been telling you, the videos are still up. I have the ultimate job security. That's why I'm always here. Like, what? Everything I say, it just turned to gold, man. I got the Midas touch. The Bud Buddies got offended. They're like, what do you mean Crawford is a big name? All right, bet. Then why all his events flop, including the Canelo fight? Meaning the amount you had to pay out your main event was not profitable. That's a flop, right? If it took X to create, but then you got to spend Y and Z, and then you don't recoup for X, that's a loss. Am I right or am I right? You think Crawford Madrimov, the amount of money that they had to pay him for that fight, hiring Eminem to do a concert, and then you did all this stuff, right? It had the boy Marshall Mathers performing. You've been working at this plant so long, you're a plant. Look at this guy's boots. They're starting to grow roots. I listen to your demo tape and act like I don't like it. 6 months later, you hear your lyrics on my ish, right? You did all this stuff hiring Eminem. Why didn't they keep doing that? I try to tell you, we've seen this play before. I have. That's why I knew how it was going to end. I've seen this movie, right? Companies come into boxing and they got all the money and they're big spenders and they got lucrative, big deals. VH1, where are they now? Remember with 50 Cent? Hey, something special, man. SMS Promotions. Remember he had Gamboa, right? He had Yuriorkis Gamboa. He had I'm really drawing a blank. My man that beat cancer, right? Billy Dibb, right? All these fighters. He not in boxing no more. Remember Jay-Z, Rock Nation, when they were offering Adrian Broner $40 million? They had Andre Ward and Cotto, big lucrative contract. Are they in boxing like that? Okay then, right? We've seen this. Broner to get $40 million, I'm sure he would love that now. You know what I mean? But he told Jay-Z to, right? The Zone in 2017, backed by oligarch, Lynn Blavnik, right? They were dropping guys like Tevin Farmer, literally not a star. He a good little fighter, but he not a star. We're getting like $2 million or $1 million. And then to the point where Showtime was being realistic, say we got an opportunity for you to fight Gervonta Tank Davis on Showtime for 2.25. And then Tevin Farmer gawked at it like, what? 2 million? I don't even need that. I could fight Jojo Diaz on DAZN, because at that time, DAZN was where they were paying these wages, right? But guess what? Oscar's telling you what Ego's been telling you. Now you're starting to see it. And again, if anything, the war accelerated it. It was always trending this way. But the conflict in the Middle East with no apparent resolution and end date, now it's just accelerated it. Now you got to start regrouping. And that's exactly what De La Hoya is telling you. And is literally what I've been telling you. And I like it, right? I'm not saying I like the conflict in the world, but I'm trying to get back to my regularly scheduled programming in boxing. And when you inflate the market with these stupid price points that is not worth it, it creates like so many falsehoods in the game to the point where the fighters are spoiled. It's like a spoiled kid. Imagine if you had children and whether they got straight A's or straight F's, you reward them the same. Life should not be like that. Some people like me, some people don't. And I'm great with that because I don't really care. You ain't going to do nothing. So you don't like me, don't watch me. But the reality is they all watch me, even if they don't like me. So I can't be doing that bad. But anywho, if you had a kid that did something honorable, helped the old lady cross the street, got on honor roll, that's when you reward them. I don't live in the world where there's participation trophies, where you're a loser, your team lost, and you're supposed to get a medal the same medal as the people who won. I don't believe in that, and I don't think that's good for people, right? So I base this is gonna sound weird, but I'm just being real. It's a freestyle video. I base life kind of like on the animal kingdom. I'm animalistic, right? I have keen senses, intuition, gut feelings. I rely on that heavily, just like actual animals in the wild, right? And with that being said, I feel like if God gives you these abilities, why not use them? Like, hey, I shouldn't go into this party. It looks sketch. You know, I shouldn't take this deal. It look bad. There's something telling you that, and there's a reason for that usually, right? I don't believe in like a participation trophy. And just like the animal kingdom, you have social classes and you have a food chain, right? You got an elephant, they hold their own. You got lions, you got coyotes, right? You got hyenas, you got a pack of wolves, you got the buffalo and hippopotamus, you got a jackrabbit. These animals are not all made the same, right? If a pack of wolves is chasing a jackrabbit, the jackrabbit better get to running. That's the animal planet. That is the food chain, right? And the reason why I'm bringing up animals is because business is the same. You need entrepreneurs in this game and innovators and go-getters and hustlers and people who will move the needle and create companies, but you also need the worker bees and the people who they're never going to create their own company. They don't have the drive. They don't have the stick with itness or whatever. So they may not do that, but maybe they're just good workers. You know what I mean? And I believe that's what gives life balance, right? 6, 7, right? That's what gives you balance when you have the different social classes and different people who excel. So when the Saudis are overpaying Devon, Haney, and Shakur Stevenson, not that they're bad fighters, but you're giving them false hope. You're giving them a hope for something that their market value has not proven to be worth, right? And that creates a kind of prima donna spoiled attitude, right? That should be reserved for the Canelos, the Floyds, the Pacquiaos, the Gervonta Davis. You shouldn't be getting anywhere close to certain paychecks when you don't really have the ability to entertain or sell, right? And then you do nothing to brand yourself. Like Devon Haney can't even do an interview by himself without stuttering. His dad do like 90% of the talking. You know what I mean? Floyd didn't need Floyd Sr. to do his interviews. Shakur don't give you no great interviews. Like name a press conference from Shakur or Devon that based on something they did or said was legendary and memorable. You know what I mean? So they're not really giving you that. And then you got these fighters that want top dollar and they're not going to give you a bunch of media run. They're not going to try to sell the pay-per-view. They're not really branding themselves good. They're not really making themselves available. They're not making themselves likable. Like Shakur going on social media every day, contradicting himself, right? So you shouldn't really be getting the purses you want. And then you're not fighting the people that if you were to get those purses, you should be fighting someone better, right? Like Shakur shouldn't be fighting William Zepeda and Artem Haratunian. He should be fighting Gary Antoine Russell. Guys like that. You know what I mean? Like the bigger and badder people. Fight your buddy Keyshawn. Make something out of it. You know what I mean? Like, but that's why I'm glad that this is happening and the Saudis are now course correcting their budgets, because you're just feeding a pool, and instead of it being an aquarium that had all different oceanic life, which is what you need the whale, you need the shark, and you need the small school of fish, right? You're trying to make everyone a shark. That don't imagine a tank just full of sharks. We got the Monterey Bay Aquarium, very nice aquarium. I love going there. I wouldn't go if it was just sharks in the tank and that's it. I don't want to see that. Why would I want to see like all sharks for the whole little, the whole museum run? Shark. Oh, another shark. You don't want to see that. You see colorful fish. You see big fish. You see fish that look crazy or weird. You see a shrimp. You see a crustacean, a crab. You know what I mean? You see a shark. That's what makes it interesting. And I think life needs that. So when you're overpaying guys, it really hurts the market. And I try to warn y'all that get it if you can get it, and get it while the getting's good, because that's not going to last. And then a lot of these endeavors from the Saudis, it didn't really seem like a lot of them seem like a waste of money. Sean O'Malley and Marab at the Sphere, that didn't seem like that ain't like Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov or Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 3 or something. Like a fight that could be at the Sphere. Like they're talking about Pacquiao and Floyd Maypac 2 at the Sphere. Okay, now put that next to Sean O'Malley and Marab. That just ain't the type of fight to open up the Sphere. And they are paying for it. You know what I mean? Or they got the Live Golf. All these golfers like selling out to get the paycheck, and Tom Brady flag football, all this stuff. I get it. You're trying to increase tourism and, have your logo everywhere, Riyadh season and Sella, and you want to be a leader in sports entertainment and you got disposable cash. I get that. But there's so many things, particularly, I don't want to, I've already spent some time talking about Tom Brady and Live Golf and all that. So I want to keep most of this video about boxing. But I've been telling y'all, here's my video, right? All this stuff is coming to a halt. And these fighters going to learn the hard way that Boxingego, if he said it, he meant it, right? You're reducing funding. What do you think happens next? Tom Brady's a bigger athlete than Devon, Haney, and Shakur, right? Family Feud, where they're like 100 people surveyed said, ask 100 people to point out Tom Brady, his picture, and then do the same. Get 5 black dudes and then mix in Devon Haney and then do another row in the lineup and then 5 black dudes and Shakur Stevenson, or 5 black and Puerto Rican dudes and then put Shakur there, and then get 5 white dudes and put Tom Brady in there, and see how many people can identify Tom Brady versus Shakur and Devon, right? So the writing's on the wall. I've been telling y'all. De La Hoya's now telling y'all. The Saudi Arabia, their new initiative, they're cutting their budget, especially amidst this war and conflict, right? They're talking about major losses that are only getting worse. You know what I mean? And sometimes you gotta slow down the bleeding. Here's the chart. Saudi Arabia fiscal balance. Country expects a deficit of $44 billion, not million, $44 billion in 2026. And then shortly before that, it was $66 billion, right? And then when you're a country that relies heavily on imports and exports, and you have a natural resource, you have oil, petroleum, right? And different commodities. Now with the Strait of Hormuz being closed and harder to navigate, the cost of fuel going up, clearly you see the problem that would create. So I told you from the beginning, I don't care how much money you have or make or are worth. It gets to a point where if there's no return on investment and you're losing, lose. Of course, depending on how much money you start with, that determines how long you can keep taking losses. But at some point, if it's L, 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 right, and no W, at some point, you're going to be hurting, right? And I shouldn't even have to say it. It's like common sense. If you go to the Indian casino, Cash Creek, and you had $10,000 in your bank account and you lost 500, lost 200, lost 350, lost 1,000, no wins or no significant wins, and you're losing large debit, keep going to the ATM, and then now when you're at the casino and then you try to take money out from the ATM at the casino, they're going to have a $10 surcharge for using the ATM, and then your bank is going to charge you fees because you use an off-brand ATM and so on and so forth. So now you're losing money, and then you're paying transactional fees and you're paying bank fees. So you're losing even more money. And then if you keep getting hit and the casino wins, what do you think is going to happen to your bank account? So it was always inevitable here, right? And I try to warn you, Crawford doesn't move the needle in that way. Great fighter, fun to watch. Outside of Omaha, he not really selling like that. The Bud Buddies got mad. The Haneyacks got mad. Shakur fans got mad. And what's worse is this new generation of boxing, you got people telling us why the fight shouldn't happen, turning down fights. Like Shakur, he could fight Devon Haney. Boom, that's a bag. Maybe the Saudis are interested in that. But he like, I'm not fighting him unless it's at this weight, 140 or 144 or 147 with a rehydration clause. Things that Devon Haney and his team might not agree to, which creates a conflict, which means the fight likely wouldn't happen. You see how this plays out? So it could all be simple if we got back to old school boxing and people made great money, definitely more money than the people in the UFC, and took the dope fights, built their brands, built their legacy, and the money will come to you. But I think the Saudis spoiled a lot of these fighters where they didn't even care about the pay-per-views. You're on pay-per-view, but there's no quota you have to meet. I told you, oh my gosh, I could talk for hours about how I kept telling you guys this. I used to be in sales jobs, right? But I had a reputation like Wolf of Wall Street, like Jordan Belfort, right? I could sell because I'm going to get bucks like Milwaukee because like Sam, I could sell, right? I know how to sell to people and introduce a product or service and get you to buy, right? Even on YouTube, I'm still selling to y'all. It's just in a different way. I'm selling you my videos, right? Shout out to all the people who sent Cash App, super thanks for the videos. Keep supporting Bet on Us, right? Link in the description. My Link Me has all my links. So I've always had the ability to sell. It is what it is, right? But with that reputation, you have certain quotas to meet. They're looking at my previous month's sales, this month's sale, where I was last year. I can't just like constantly trending downward and then I'm not going to get talked to. I mean, that never happened, but if it were, if I'm just chatting on my phone, not selling product, like imagine you work at a car dealership, your job is to sell cars and you used to sell 20 cars a month and now you're selling one every 4 months. At some point, the company might have a talk to you or be like, hey, we got to get someone else in this spot. You're barely selling anything. You know what I mean? So as it pertains to boxing, you got all these people in boxing, these young fighters that are delusional. They're delusional. They're like, man, me and so-and-so can sell. All they do is talk about the fights that they can make online, and they don't have no network deal, no TV deal. They have really no big fan base. Half of the time you look in their comment section and the fans are against them or going in, and then they're like trying to be shot callers and ballers. It's just like, it's weird. So now we about to see what it is, because the lifeline that they've been using recently is the Saudis spoiling them with paychecks that they didn't really truly earn based on market value. And I told you this moment was coming. Imagine me. I don't work for nobody. I work for me. I'm a full-time content creator, right? Imagine nobody watched my videos. I would not be able to do this. I got rent. I got utilities. I got things to pay for. Help my mama and dad. You know what I mean? Help my family. That wouldn't work at all if I'm not producing anything. So why should fighters have been able to get these sky high paychecks and then do very little? Like Conor Ben, he got allegedly $15 million to fight a guy nobody wanted to see him fight, Regis Prograis. And then on top of that, he didn't do an iota anything to hype the fight and make us really want to see it, right? He didn't like get on the mic and be like, blah, 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 and sell the fight. And Regis Prograis, he's saying now that he shouldn't have fought and he was terrified. This is just bad business practices from the Saudis that they did in boxing. They're like, oh, the barrier to entry to boxing is low, but then you're 15 mil on Conor Ben. And then you have to pay Regis Prograis, he's a former champ, so he probably got something good, right? And then now we find out he shouldn't have been fighting because he was injured. I mean, how does any of this make sense? Even Tyson Fury, I don't know if it's true, but the report said he made $25 million to fight that Game of Thrones neck dude, right? Makhmudov. Come on, bro. That was worth 25 mil. Tyson Fury, no knockdowns, no hype to the fight, no knockouts. The other dude looked very unskilled. He looked like just heavy-handed, and that was it. And was lunging and missing. Tyson Fury didn't look super sharp. That was a $25 million performance. Like, come on, bro. So I'm glad, because now we can snap back to reality and get boxing back to what it really should be on, where fighters got to earn their keep. You kill what you eat. Guys like Shakur, you're not Tank. You're not knocking people out in these like high caliber fights and then knocking them out, and then you see the body on the canvas and it hit the back flip off the turnbuckle. You're not electrifying like that, right? And that's cool. Different strokes, different styles. I get it. But until you up your resume, up your entertainment value, it's probably now in this new climate, it's probably going to be harder and harder for you to get them crazy bags. And I've already talked about it. Study what I'm saying. Shakur, who's he fight? Why he ain't got no fight? He admitted that he has no negotiation with Devon Haney. Ryan Garcia just said he fighting Conor Ben. So the man, look, the man that popped dirty, put out a racist tweet, multiple, got suspended, missed weight in the Devon fight, no contest, no decision. He gets rewarded coming off a loss to Rolly, right? He gets rewarded with a title fight. And now he gets rewarded to a Conor Ben big fight. Where's Devon Haney? Where's Shakur? How come Turkey, if what I'm saying ain't true, if what Deloy is saying ain't true, how come Turkey didn't put up money for Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz? Jaron Ennis and Xander Zayas. How come he didn't put money in like to make Shakur and Conor Ben? Right? Where's Devon Haney? I'm trying to tell you. So now, like I've been saying, I believe they're going to start being super selective in the matches they make. And it's funny because Turkey put this. You're the best in your division now, no question about it. This is what he told Shakur. Okay, so where's his big fight? If Shakur is the best, how is he the best? He ain't beat Tank. He won't fight Keyshawn. He's the best. How? Well, I don't even know what division he's at. Is he at 35 or 40? Because Murataya called him out, and he made it sound like he wanted to fight at 35. So how is he the best at 35 when he didn't fight Abdullah Mason? He didn't fight Sam Noakes. He didn't fight Gervonta Davis. Like, how is he the best? At 140, you didn't fight Gary Antoine Russell. So what is Turkey even talking about? You're the best now. And then, again, if he is the best, and that's how you feel, then why are you giving Conor Benn to Ryan Garcia? If Shakur impressed you so much beating Teofimo, why are you giving Tyson Fury $25 million paydays? Why are you giving Ryan Garcia, who just became his first champion in the division, why he get the Conor Benn fight? So none of this stuff makes sense, and y'all know what I'm saying is true, right? You signed Richardson Hitchens to Zuffa and Berlanga, so they probably got a bag. Where's Shakur? Why you sign him to Zuffa? So people, I go off of actions. I don't go off of what people say. You know what I mean? The actions are going to let you know every time. Somebody could say the food is good, but you look at the body language and you see their paper plate folded up and placed upside down in the trash can. I go off the action. I don't go off of what people say. You know what I mean? Because people could say anything. Oh, yeah, the food was great. Then why'd you waste it if the food was great? Remember when Papoose had that plate from Clarissa? And he was like, man, this is so tasty. I love this. But he had hella food on the plate. Right? Trying to tell y'all. So Turkey, when he posted this, right? Basically, a boxer reporter said Turkey's been busy. Is he losing interest in boxing? His momentum is not the same. He said, we are finalizing Canelo and Riyadh season for September, planning 2 fights for Anthony Joshua, another Tyson Fury fight, and another for Ryan Garcia in the second half. This is my schedule this year when I am busy and not interested, right? Where's Devon Haney? Where's Shakur? Where's Jerron Boots Ennis? Where's Virgil Ortiz? He's telling you the type of fights he's working on for the second half of the year, and he has Ryan Garcia, but he don't have Shakur's name or Devon Haney, right? He allowed Virgil Ortiz to sue Oscar De La Hoya, and then for it to get that bad, rather than just put up a crazy purse like they did previous years to make Boots versus Virgil Ortiz, where they were both happy. So I definitely believe what I'm saying, and that pay scale is changing, and it's very apparent. And now it's like, you've given us big fights before, or we like you, so they're going to have their favorites. Usyk seems to be one of them. Crawford was one of them. Tyson Fury's one of them. Ryan Garcia's one of them. Conor Benn. These are the guys getting the big fights, right? Some of the Zuffa boxers, they're like, all right, let's throw some money at this person. But I think if Turkey's looking at you as like boring, or Tom and Jerry, like Devon and Shakur, good luck, you know, because it don't look like them purses are going to be the same. So Oscar De La Hoya was cooking, and I took over after that. Y'all heard what he had to say. And it's really just a kind of an extension and continuation of what I've been telling y'all. We unpacked.